I wanted to tell you guys briefly the story about the black feral cat, as briefly as 2021, I believe. I had lost both of my older cats. Did the best I could. They died. And I was still with my ex at the time, and he had a friend named, I'm going to call him Jacob. It's not his name. And he lived just a couple blocks from here. He was a young man, and somebody had lived with him briefly and left him like a 6-month-old female cat. And he didn't get the cat fixed. And she had a litter. Her first litter was 6 kittens, which is large for a first litter because she was 6 months old. You know, it was her first estrus. And he was able to give, one of them died, unfortunately. I was able to get rid of the other 4, but at about 4 or 5 months old, he still had a young male. And so we took him on, and his name was Tubbs. We, had offered Thomas, we're like, hey, we'll, pay for the cat to get fixed. We'll do whatever. And he was like, no, it's no big deal. I got it. I did it. Well, a full year later, in spite of him saying he had her fixed, she had another litter. And this one was, again, 5 or 6 kittens. And this time he decided to keep one of the female kittens as well, even though he hadn't had the other one fixed. And Jacob went out of town, and my ex went over to check on Mama Cat and the kitten, and who was also about 4 or 5 months old at this point. And kitten had a massive, massive abscess on her, to the point that when my ex squeezed her, he said, and this is gross, I'm sorry, but it looked like a worm was coming out of her, but it was just that solid pus that will come out of a cat wound. That is, abscesses are commonly caused by puncture wounds, by teeth or claws, mostly teeth. So my ex said, fuck that. We already know that he hasn't dealt with the other stuff. So he brought female cat home. We took her to the vet. It was $400 or $500. And we said, screw it. He had set up my ex. I didn't make that determination, but he was like, screw that. We're keeping her. So, we had the 2 of them, and they got along really well because we believed they were full siblings. They were at the very least half siblings, but I think they were full siblings. But I call her baby girl. After we had baby girl for about a year, the fireworks came on the 4th of July, and Tubbs ran away. Tubbs never came back, which was unfortunate. He ran away during the fireworks. It sucks. So then I just had baby girl, and in an extremely strange turn of events, this kid, Jacob, he was 28 years old. He wasn't taking the best care of himself, all this other stuff, but he passed away in his sleep. Extremely unfortunate. And so when my ex and their other good friend went to clean out his house and deal with Mama Cat, this was now 3 years, probably since the first litter, about 2.5, 3 years. Sometimes he always told us he had her fixed, but obviously not. And so, when they got over there, his apartment was like a complete wreck, like hoarder type situation. And unfortunately in one of the rooms, there were some like dead, passed away, Egyptified remains of a couple kittens in one room. We don't know from when. So there was also a litter of kittens there at the time. I believe there was at least 2 other litters besides the 3 we knew of. I believe there was at least 2 other litters, possibly 3 in that time. But there was a litter of 4 or 5 kittens in his house, and they were wild. They had 0 socialization. They had not been handled. They were about 8 weeks old. Maybe 10, not sure. And they scattered immediately, and the mama kitty was again heavily pregnant. And the neighbors had said they were going to take Mama Kitty, but she bolted. She was so close to giving birth, but she left. And to calm you guys, she was found about 2 miles away. Someone was like, they had this cat, that had kittens out behind their place, and luckily they were very cool people, and that was taken care of. They were taken to our local shelter, which is a no-kill shelter. Mama Kitty, who hated having kittens from her first litter, she hated it, was fixed and adopted out to somebody, which is great. But in the meantime, so all that was happening, and in the meantime, there was these 4 or 5 kittens just running around outside of Jacob's house. And so we put out live traps and were able to catch one, and brought him home, and his name was Banjo, and we brought him home, and he was pretty difficult to socialize, but because we had a sister, he loved her. She was like, oh my God, get off me. But he socialized enough that he became our cat. And he was all black. She's tuxedo like her mom was. Anyway, so Banjo came home, and I did my damnedest to, get this guy, and he was a great little cat. And then, thank God, X left. He left town. Bye, see you later. Great, fucking perfect, gone. And so I had these 2 cats. Okay. So what I forgot to say in that whole story is when we were catching Banjo, a cat that I thought might be Tubbs looked very, very much like Tubbs and was clearly one of the siblings, started coming around. And I'm like, Tubbs, is that you? Is that you? Because all black, white patch, very common, but yes, it was not Tubbs. But that cat, I believe, was from the litter before or another litter. And had just been living wild outside of Jacob's house in that area and coming back to eat there. And he started coming to eat here. Now, that, I believe, 99% sure, is the feral cat that now I've been feeding since then. For 2 years, since 2022-ish, when he showed up. And he is completely wild. That's how I know it's not Tubbs. Tubbs would have whatever. And so he started coming around, and I started feeding him, hoping that I could, well, I don't know, because, around Thanksgiving, I realized my dad wasn't doing good. Went down to his hometown for a little while, came back up, and then realized that shortly before Christmas, I was going down there, and I was going to stay, and I was going to stay. And I didn't know how long it was going to be, but I was going to stay, and I did. And I'm glad. And so while I was gone, I had a friend stopping by and feeding Banjo in Little Bit, and also putting food out for Ghost. Well, Ghost realized that he could come in to the house, and there was nobody around. And the other 2, because they were siblings with him, they were like, they let him. When I got back, y'all, after my dad passed, I'll find the picture. I'll put it in here. Ghost was absolutely obese. He had rolls of fat off of him because he was able to just come in and eat as much as he wanted to all the time, and he did. My dad passed, and then, and that was in early January when my dad passed, and my dad had 3 cats, and my brother couldn't take them. My niece, also couldn't take them, and so, did I want 3 more cats? No. Was I going to take 3 more cats? Absolutely. I came back to Salt Lake after my dad, or came back here, sorry, it's Salt Lake, but I came back here to where I live now, for a couple weeks, and then went back down to get my dad's cats. In between me coming back and me going back down, Banjo got run over and killed. So I've got him on the shelf in there in a little box. But so now it sucks completely, but 4 cats is more manageable than 5 cats, to be honest. And 4 cats is still more than, but here we are. And so now I just have Little Bit and the 3 boys from my dad's house, and then Ghost. And so, and also I just want to say, at one point they counted all the black and white cats, but there was something like 23 in between Jacob's house and where I still live, where I was, in between Jacob's house and mine, that they counted that were probably from this one mom. And if you think about it, her first litter, or the second one that nobody, anyway, her other kittens were now having kittens. There's so many kittens from this one guy. It's from one cat. By the age of 3, probably had 6 litters. Anyway, that's why I know this was long, and I'm going to cut it down by editing it, but that's why I'm invested in this cat Ghost. I've been feeding him for 2 years. I feel like You know, he's one of the ones that got a raw deal, and love y'all. Bye.